prides ourselves on being fair and unbiased and getting all sides of the story when it comes to college football. So with an SEC team coming up north to play in Columbus, why not get the SEC perspective? So it's time to welcome in our guy, T-Bob Hebert. He's a host for ESPN Radio down in Louisiana, also played center for LSU. T-Bob, like the background, man. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great, boys. I am currently reporting live from a spaceship hovering planet Earth. I was picked up in New Jersey. Honestly, the aliens have been quite nice. They've come up with a way of replicating human food. The texture's a little off, but the taste is good. So I hope to see my family again soon. But forget about my family. I'm here to talk about football.
Yeah, we can
That's
send
commitment to the craft right there, too.
And we can send this video to your family. They'll be able to see it. All right, so since you're committed to the craft of football, we got to ask you, Tennessee going up north, give us a reason why Tennessee will beat Ohio State.
So real quick, this was interesting. When me and Aaron Murray broke down this game in our podcast Snap, shameless plug, I entered the conversation thinking I was picking Tennessee. And in talking it out, I ended up landing Ohio State. Now, I like a lot of Tennessee's elements. Okay, first off, I don't know where the mental health of Ohio State is right now. Like, is that a stadium that is going to be aggressive and excited, or is it going to be one of those toxic stadiums where you can feel the anxiety in the air? Maybe you get a 3-and-out or something, and the crowd starts to turn a bit. So I don't love all that. But what I do love for Ohio State is quite simple, okay? Will Howard's better than Nico Iamaleava. That's just what it is. Will Howard's had one bad game this year. Now, I'm sure much of JP's dismay, it just happened to be against Jake's Michigan Wolverines. But besides that, Will Howard's actually been really good all year long. If I wanted to craft a path for Tennessee, though, boys, let's reach into our big bag of football cliches, okay? What do we pull out? What travels well? Defense and running the ball. What does Tennessee do very well? Plays elite defense and runs the ball incredibly well. And if Ohio State does have a weakness, I think at times it can be that offensive line. That said, the gap in the quarterbacks are too much for me to get over, combined with home field advantage.
T-Bob, you mentioned the curiosity you have towards the crowd, and that's something I'm really interested in, too. I just feel there's been a general uneasiness in Buckeye Nation. I believe that's a reflection of the head coach, Ryan Day. So naturally, JP and I have talked a lot about Ryan Day, just coaches in general. So give us a sense on the flip side with Josh Heupel. Where does he rank among all the other coaches in the SEC?
I mean, it's pretty fascinating. To me, Heupel's got to be up there like top 5, top 4. If you really said that, I thought maybe top 3, because here's maybe the most impressive part about Heupel to me. When what you do best is not working, how good are you still? And as I kind of alluded to, right? You've been chasing that Hendon Hooker ghost at Tennessee for about 2 years. In fact, they don't really like talking about this. But if you look at the numbers, Nico Iamaleava has basically been Joe Milton of last year. Maybe a bit better in some areas, but statistically very similar. So how is Tennessee so much better? Because Josh Heupel continued to build a program, not just an offense, not just a flashy, schematically advantaged offense, but a program. Great defense, a commitment to running the ball, adjusting some of their tempo to play a bit more control style. It's a heady evolution, and one that ultimately you have to have if you want to take that next step from being like scheme guy to legitimate elite head coach. I would say on Ryan Day, dude, the thing that I found most shocking was him watching the brawl, the pepper spray, and everything, and he looked so shell-shocked, like he'd been in the trenches at the Battle of the Somme, and that he sits there and says, what's going on? Like, as he's watching it, but his mind's not even there because he's so flabbergasted by what just happened.
Yeah, T-Bob, not to rehash all of it. We talked a lot about it on this show, but that's the one thing for me is in terms of leadership and what that looks like for a program, that image cannot be erased out of my mind. And so I'm curious, like you mentioned, preparation, creating belief. however it goes coming into this game, who's going to have the edge there, I think will go a long way in this matchup. But as people are looking at this playoff bracket, of course, you're talking about Ohio State, got Tennessee there in the mix, but Oregon, Penn State's got a great path there. Some people like Texas, Georgia with the first round bye here. One of the teams in the Big Ten or SEC is likely to win this whole thing. So whichever conference wins it, would you say that's the best conference in college football?
I don't think it's that simple because I do think Oregon is the favorite. I think that the Big Ten has very good elite teams, and Michigan will be back, and they'll be great again. I think that on a team-to-team basis, top to bottom, I think the SEC is slightly better. Like, I would take the kind of middle-of-the-pack SEC and lower SEC against middle of the Big Ten and lower Big Ten. But ultimately, this is kind of a weak, nuanced argument. If you just, it will play much easier to just say, Oregon won the national championship, so the Big Ten's best, or Texas won the national championship, so the SEC's best. I got to be honest, though. I don't love the SEC's chances going into this playoffs. I think Georgia's cooked. I mean, you're going to tell me you got a quarterback that's never started a game? The Georgia fans are huffing so much copium right now. And they're trying to sit there and tell me that a quarterback that's never started is better than the guy that's lost 3 games in like 2 years. It just won a SEC champion. It really boggles the mind. They also lost their Ray Guy nominated punter.
Yep.
When you talk about elite games where field position starts to matter more and more, like, that's huge.
Oh, yeah.
And as far as Texas goes, I think Texas is very good, but there's still times. If you can stop Texas from running the ball, Quinn Ewers will kind of implode a bit. So, no, I don't love the SEC's chances here to win it all. My money would be on the Big Ten.
I think Quinn Ewers is in his head right now. I'm curious to see how he comes out against a program in Clemson that has championship DNA. The thing that I would say about this conversation I think is unique right now is the Big Ten starting to get the benefit of the doubt that the SEC has had for a very long time, where when you're Mississippi State and you lose to a MAC team, when you are Arkansas and you can lose to a Big 12 team that did not win a game in conference, you get credit for what Georgia and Texas and Alabama and historically what LSU and some of the other teams in that conference have done. And so now I think we're getting to the point where maybe Iowa and Minnesota are starting to get a little bit of credit for what Penn State and Ohio State and Oregon have done this year. And frankly, I can't be mad at it because it's happened in the South all the time.
The only issue we have is Purdue. Vandy was supposed to be our Purdue, and Vandy actually had a good year. Purdue took a step back.
Mississippi State was Purdue,
so maybe
right?
they replaced them.
Yeah.
I like the idea. How about a fair matchup? The winner of the South Carolina-Illinois game. How about that one to decide which conference better?
I mean, look, that feels like as good of a referendum on middle of the pack as you could find.
Right.
And maybe in this bracket, we get a good, like, top tier matchup. And then we combine that with middle of the pack. And I have to look at some of the rest of the bowl games. But yeah, South Carolina, Illinois feel very equivalent. I love Minnesota. Probably a bit disrespectful to your Hawkeye brethren there, JP, to be lumping them in with being dragged up by the bootstraps, given that it's been a very successful program for a very long time now at this point. It doesn't matter. Are we really going to go this entire time without talking about my favorite Big Ten team?
Which
Kurt
is?
Cignetti's Indiana Hoosiers? I might be the biggest Indiana believer out there, and I'm surrounded by dummies that tell me Indiana is not good, hasn't played anybody. Okay, they haven't played right. They beat the hell out of everybody they played.
Yeah.
Okay? They have the highest rated quarterback in the nation, top 5 scoring offense, top 5 scoring defense, number 1 rush defense in the entire country. They're not good. They're the Big Ten sack leader in Kamara. Get the hell out of here. They shut down Michigan, okay? Yes, did Ohio State outclass them with their edge rushers? Yes, they did. But I don't think Notre Dame has those same dogs. Also, guys, you won a little nugget, and I got to credit Aaron Murray for this on this Notre Dame team. Go look at who they played from a what kind of passing game did the opponent have standpoint. And the only 2 times they played a passing game that had any semblance of a pulse, they actually gave up surprising numbers. Like Notre Dame, I believe they're very good on the back end. They could be a bit artificially inflated. I'm taking the Hoosiers to win on the road Friday night in South Bend.
They got a quarterback. Curt Cignetti mentioned this. He said, I hope it snows 1.5 feet. They got a quarterback from Canada. He is used to tossing the ball around in the snow. I don't think the elements are going to affect him. It's interesting, too, because going back to this Big Ten SEC thing, Texas ain't played a damn soul all year long, and the only team that they played that was worth a damn, they lost to 2 different ways. But they get the benefit of the doubt. I'm with you. Indiana is a phenomenal football team. When you try to compare people to how they look against Ohio State, like sometimes you could get a little bit, I don't know, it could give you the wrong image of what they actually are because not everybody can just turn it on the way that the Buckeyes can.
I mean, the game flow was weird, too. I mean, those special teams mistakes were inescapable.
Yeah, sack
for
fumble.
Indiana. And look, at the end of the day, yes, Ohio State's raw talent at the skill positions eventually broke through. And again, the edge rushers did. I don't think Notre Dame has either. I think this is an awful matchup for Notre Dame. And I would almost guarantee that Curt Cignetti outcoaches Marcus Freeman in this game. So, yeah, give me Indiana. It's the biggest ticket of the weekend. I love him. And honestly, who has Notre Dame played? Same deal.
Listen, and of any coach, I feel like I trust Curt Cignetti as much as any coach in this playoff. Yeah. I'm a full-on believer. Yep. So, T-Bob, man, it's great to see you. Happy holidays. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, happy holidays, guys. Hey, just remember, guys, okay, this weekend, we're going to be sitting down. You're going to have the Christmas tree playing at the edge of your vision, the bird song of kids giggling, wafting through the air, favorite drink in hand, and college football playoffs on the television. What a time to be alive.
What more can
you
you
all
ask
have a very
for?
happy holidays.
All right. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, T-Bob.